See it right here? Well, when it pops up. Yeah.
All right. There's about a 30-second delay, but you're live now.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Three Guys Who Love Sports. My name is Chuck Burge, and I'm here today with Mr. Brent Rudersdorf.
What's up, Chuck?
Mr. Jason Alexander. And today we are the Three Guys Who Love Sports. We're out here at Red Hair Brewery, so if you want to come by and join us, feel free to do so. This show is specifically for a friend of mine that has prostate cancer, and we have found that this helps him distract from his everyday life and what's going on. So it's to help him and everybody out there that is suffering from not only prostate cancer but other diseases that affect men. So our approach is to help them get distracted and bring more awareness to these illnesses. So with that being said, Jason, Brent, great to have you with us today. But you know we want your opinions too, because our opinions are crap. They mean no more than yours do. So if you want to text in, the phone number is 470-7-SPORTS, 470-7-SPORTS. And for those of you that are still crying about the Chiefs or the 49ers losing, you can't read, that's 470-777-6787. 470-777-6787. That being said, Jason, guys, this is Jason Alexander, but it's not George Costanza. And he may look like Aaron Rodgers, but he's nowhere near the athlete Aaron Rodgers.
Nowhere near the athlete, and I do not look like George Costanza either. So I'm a little taller and have a lot more hair than he does.
But Jason's going to talk with us about the ball games that we both saw this week, and I think we all agree that the last 6 playoff games have been phenomenal.
Yeah, guys, I mean, wow. I mean, it's something. It's good to see. I mean, you know, Cincinnati. That's the big shocker for me, guys. I mean, you know, I love to see it. You know, and you know the Rams. Like the Rams have been a pretty good team. So you know, I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, Cincinnati, man, they're on a roll here. So
well, what was your thought? What was your thought halfway through the second quarter when Kansas City's about ready to just drive it down Cincinnati's throat?
You know,
what were you thinking?
I didn't think Cincinnati had a chance, to be honest. I mean, but then they just kept coming back, and they kind of little Spitfires is what they are. So and they came back and they got it done. I just felt like Kansas City had more of a, they were more, you know, knew what was going on, and you know Cincinnati hadn't been in there in a playoff game in years and years. So
33 years.
33.
So they were up 21-3 too, and then they had that opportunity to score right there at the end of the first half, and they just stopped. And Kansas City said, "Okay, we're going to run it down their throats and go up 28-3." Does that score sound familiar to you, Brett?
It sounds very familiar.
And they just didn't get it. They didn't get it cut. So, so Cincinnati got the momentum at that point.
And there was a couple of things that happened in that second quarter. I mean, that first half too. It's like Kansas City had the opportunity early on to challenge a call for a first down stretch. However, they call a timeout first. So they lose a timeout. Yes, they win the ball back, but now they're down a timeout.
Yeah.
And then they're shoving it down Cincinnati's throats, and it's feeling like a scene in like Rocky IV, second round. Drago is kicking the hell out of Rocky, and then they go in and they don't score at the very end of the first half, and it's like Rocky lands that first punch, and it's like, we got to watch the second half. Because we have no idea here. Cincinnati was like, they're like, we're not dying.
Yeah, they're not. And I know a lot of people won a lot of money betting on Cincinnati too, because they would have never taken that bet, but they got it done. So for sure.
Yeah. When they were down 21-3, I felt the same way as everybody else. I thought they were toast.
It's done.
But when they didn't score, I said something's there, and you know. Joe Burrow's got a little magic to him. I don't know.
Joe Smoking Burrows.
I was talking to my brother who lives in Boston, home of some other famous Patriot team or something like that. But he'd been plowing snow all weekend because they got like 30 inches of snow. And he was like, I'm turning this game off. It's not going to matter, because he turned it on in the second quarter. And I'm like, don't give up. The Cincinnati team, you know, they don't call him Burrow for nothing.
Right.
And don't forget Money McPherson.
That's right.
That kicker, man.
You know, Burrows is going for a triple crown. That's something that's never been done before. I think it was Montana and Joe Namath. They've never won the Heisman.
No, they're the only two that have ever won the national championship.
Oh, okay, so it's a national championship.
National championship, and
so they've done 2 out of the 3. If Burrows goes on, they win the Super Bowl.
Quarterbacks that have ever won the national championship and the Super Bowl.
And they haven't got the Heisman. So.
What is he, the first first round draft pick to
Yeah.
make it to the Super Bowl.
So so if he does that, it'll be a first time for him too, a triple crown as they call it.
Well, and what if he wins the MVP?
And there you
And
go.
then you
I
got
mean,
four
you got
things
that, so
that would be very, very tough.
I didn't even consider that, but yes,
Yeah.
there's a lot to be considered with that.
So there's a lot of talk, beforehand about Kansas City being a dynasty.
Yeah.
You got to win more than one game to be a dynasty.
Oh, yeah.
One Super Bowl to be a dynasty, right, Brett?
You got to win a little bit more than
Like
one.
7, maybe
7, maybe go to 10 Super Bowls in your career.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So we had another game too. We had the Rams and the 49ers.
49ers. so.
And both of the games, there were big comebacks in them.
Yeah, Rams came out real slow.
Well, they were up
Real
what,
slow.
11. They were down 11, where the Bengals were down 18, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But down 11 is no easy thing. And they
Yeah.
came back in the fourth quarter. I think I
Right.
saw something. Nobody's ever come back in the fourth quarter from 10 points down.
Yeah, it just looked like San Francisco lost gas at the end of that game. They the Rams they came out slow, and it looked like San Francisco was going to walk with it, and they pretty much turned around just like Cincinnati. So
People love this Rams team. They're going to
Yeah.
be so powerful in the Super
Yeah.
Bowl. I mean, they've got such a good defensive line. They're gonna put pressure on the quarterback. And as much as I'm sure we'll talk about it later, maybe we have some Super Bowl picks or whatever. The Rams are going to be tough to beat.
Yep.
They're going to be so tough to beat. And when you put, it's going to be interesting to see how Stafford, as a veteran, handles himself in that game. But we've seen it now at the end of these games. Stafford to Cooper Cup.
yep.
How do you stop
All
that?
day.
It's gonna
And
have to
Stafford,
be-
and
Not to
Stafford.
mention Odell Beckham.
Yeah. And Stafford's hungry now. I mean, he's been with Detroit. He hasn't won much of anything being with Detroit. Let's be real about that. But I mean, he's hungry. He's happy. He's having fun. He says actually in the 12 years, I guess it's been 12 years. If it's not, I'm sure I'll be corrected. But he's actually having fun. He's put on there.
I bet you,
it's a dream.
I bet you Steve will
And
have
that's gonna push him.
Steve will have an opinion on this, but you mentioned something there. It's like he's having fun.
Yeah.
Stafford's having fun.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure Mahomes had fun this year.
No.
I don't know. I'm just watching him. It's like, was he going through the motions? Was he trying to figure it out? Is he trying to up his game? Is he worried about that? I don't know where the fun factor lied in. I mean, I don't know if that had anything to do with how the
Right,
season
and
played out.
that might be with Burrows too. It might be the case. They're having fun. They're like, we got nothing to lose here. We can just go out here and we can win this.
And I remember one of the announcers saying something about Burrow, that he had the eye of the tiger when he was out there, or in this case, the eye of the beagle.
Close.
When he was out there, and then that he just didn't see that in Mahomes' eyes. But getting back to San Francisco and the Rams, you remember the interception that the guy dropped?
Yeah,
The
the
long pass,
San
Francisco,
Francisco.
right in his hands.
To me, that could have been a game changer because that would have been. You could have possibly got one more score out of that. That would have fueled them to go down the field, and he dropped it. It was right in his hands.
But that's the only game that didn't end on the final play, isn't it?
I think you're right. Because every
Well,
game
that
came
was
down
fourth.
to the
But Stafford did throw that a little short. They were questioning whether he was a little bit injured or something because he was throwing a little short. He should have thrown it just a little bit. So it's not 100%, but he should have had. San Francisco should have had that. That could have changed the whole game right there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the Rams are all in. They traded everybody. They traded every draft pick they've got until 2024. They don't have another draft pick until 2024.
We could be sitting here easily saying, "Oh, that was the worst call that you could have ever made," and then here we are saying, "Yeah, they're in the Super Bowl. They got exactly what they wanted,
Yep.
so it didn't work."
But are they in the Super Bowl once, or is it a long-term deal?
We'll see. We're going to find out.
Yeah.
We're
It's
find
hard
out
to-
here.
it's hard to-
Does Burrow come back and make that Cinderella, Super Bowl, and the Rams are like, or they walk out in front of a home field, SoFi Stadium, which who knows how home field that's going to be.
But
It won't be.
we're yet to see. We got all the older guys getting out and the newer guys coming in. So we'll see what they can do. We're going to see who's the next legend.
We were talking off camera a while ago about the home field advantage. This is really an all home field advantage for Cincinnati, for the Rams, because half of that stadium was filled with Niner fans, and that wasn't even the Super Bowl. And a lot of people I would say the average fan does not have the money to pay to go see a Super Bowl. And I see the cheapest ticket is $6,700. I don't know about you. I don't make Wintersdorf money, so I don't know that I'll be making the Super Bowl.
I think it'd be more fun sitting in the house anyways.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you that doesn't come with free beers or alcohol at the same
You're not,
time.
yeah, you're not gonna
Free
have,
snacks.
yeah,
I'm
you're not
sure
gonna have that fresh guacamole at the stadium.
It's still $15 a beer, so it'd be tough to pay for after I just paid $6,700. And that's by yourself too. So I mean, you went with 2 or 3 people. I mean, you're spending $15,000
Easy.
on tickets. So I mean,
Easy.
I'd rather watch it at home.
Well, you know, Garoppolo, great quarterback.
Yep.
You know, not sure whether he's going to have surgery on his thumb off season or not. He's, you know, I saw today that he's going to think about that a little bit. Try to rehab it. Landing spot for Garoppolo?
I thought about you this morning. Is Tampa Bay the place for Garoppolo?
You know, I don't know if Tampa. The thing about Tampa is they're going to have to really think long and hard about what they're going to do. And we'll talk about that a little bit, but you know, because obviously there are going to be some other people that retire as well. I'm kind of thinking Pittsburgh. I'm kind of thinking Pittsburgh's a good one. They've got the money, they've got the team, they've got the coach.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of think Pittsburgh is poised for a solid run. And look at that AFC. I mean, look at the players in the AFC.
I think that's a good one for them to go well after for them. So
What do you think about Rodgers going to Pittsburgh? Because I know him and Mike Nolan would coach.
Yeah.
Very, very close. And they were even
Well, you
making
gotta
face goo-goo eyes at each other during the
you
game.
got to make that decision too. You know.
Yeah,
Aaron
that's
Rodgers
going to
is-
be a tough one. I think
Aaron Rodgers is temporary. I mean, he's getting older. He's got a few good couple of years left.
Yes, Rodgers late 30s, going to be, you know, he's not the same age as a Brady, obviously by a few
You
years.
want
But
somebody that's a little younger and can.
yeah, Rodgers is going to go to a place where he's got to win tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, are you and Aaron the same age? Y'all look about the same age.
I think he's a little younger.
Is he? Yeah.
44.
Oh yeah, he's a lot younger than you.
And
Nobody's that old.
You've never hosted Jeopardy, have you?
No, not yet.
Not yet, but that's all right.
They,
All right, great.
they had me on that, so they tried to have me and they said no. You're not really him.
Well, Jason, we've had enough of you. You step off. We're going to let Mr. Michael in here.
Sure.
As we have told you before, we are here at Red Hill Brewery. We'd love for you guys to come in and join us some Wednesday for a beer. And we're here to let Mr. Michael tell us a little bit about the beer of the week. What's our beer, Michael?
Hey guys, well let's see. Right now, the beer I'm most excited about is going to be our Clifford the Big Red Ale. If anybody's
Oh
a
my
fan
God.
of Clifford the Big Red Dog, we got Clifford the Big Red Ale on tap right now. It's an Imperial Red. It's coming in about 7.2%, made with Red X malt, and it's named Clifford the Big Red Ale because $1 from each pour will go back to the Cobb County Humane Society. So if you feel like supporting some fluffy little furry friends and having a beer while you're doing it, then this is the spot to be.
So if you're feeling rough,
Yeah,
come
if
out
you're
and have a
feeling
beer.
rough, whether it's rough from the night before, or you're looking to feel rough later on.
Don't
I
do that.
Come on out.
got a beer for you.
Well, Michael, thanks again for having us out
Absolutely,
here at Red
guys.
Hill, buddy.
Thank you all so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
We'll
Cheers.
see you next
Cheers.
week.
Sounds
All
good.
right, great.
Thank you.
Speaking of rough, I know my friend Brent feeling a little rough. His buddy has kind of hit the skids. He's
Thank God.
finally retired, and man, how you feeling about that, Brent?
Well, you know, it's like I think we found one thing that Tom Brady's not good at, and that's retiring, right? 'Cause we've kind of been working on this for the last 4 or
Is
5
it
years.
real?
Yeah, is it real? Was it a type of a
Can they
thing?
talk
Is it going to
about it?
happen? And
Back into it.
Yeah,
I think
and,
they can get one more year out of it.
can we get one more year? And I think, you know, when you first heard the story, right? I mean, ESPN, Darlington, and Schefter, they're not going to break news if they don't have some credible sources. Right? Like Darlington's been around Brady's camp his entire career. They're not going to break fake news, if you will. So I think it was more Brady just be like, no, I wanted to do this on my own terms. I wanted to do this my way. He didn't even do it on his podcast, Let's Go with Jim Gravely. Right? He wanted to do it on his own terms, and I think it really wasn't about the next ring. I think it was more about the 8th ring, which is what he already has, and that's the one that's on Giselle's finger. Absolutely, you know, because otherwise it would have been the suffer ring, and nobody wants that. Right? I think But when you think about Brady, it's like he did it on his own terms. He walked out. I mean, he almost won a playoff game, down 27-3. You know, came back, put him in the right position. You know, the Rams had to go down and score that game to knock him out of the playoffs. So he did everything he could do. He walks out on top. You know, he's been to, he started 20 seasons in the NFL. 10 of those seasons he went to a Super Bowl. You know, 18% of all the Super Bowls in the NFL are represented by Tom Brady. So what else do you have to prove? You know, he's definitely a hero of mine. And if you're from Boston, from New England like I am, of course he's a hero. Other people may have other opinions, which is fine. You know, that's why sports is so great. People have their own opinions on it. I'm sure Steve has got his opinions as well, which I know he does.
Yeah, after talking to me, he does. I will say that I think Tom Brady is the most accomplished quarterback in the history of the NFL. Whether I believe he's the GOAT, I don't know.
Well, let me give you a couple things, okay?
Please do.
I will. So,
and I wore this shirt just for Brent.
he played in 47 playoff games. Okay, that's like 3 extra seasons of football. He's 35-12 in those 47 games. 13 of those seasons he had byes, a first-round bye. So in playoff rounds advanced, he's 48-12.
Wow.
There's only 4 quarterbacks to ever have won 13 playoff games, and he's had 13 round byes. It's just amazing that, you know, what he's been able to do. And I think when you look at the time he played the game, you almost could break it up into like 3 Hall of Fame careers. I mean, he played for 22 years. You're gonna have,
Which is unheard of.
the iPhone didn't even exist when he started.
Right.
LeBron James is a junior in high school when he started playing. So there's just certain things, in order to be able to live through the evolution of the game. I mean, if you ever watch like some of the Fox Sports in the NFL's history, like a 2005 or 2007 game when he got tackled, they were knocking his head off. I mean, that's when the concussion protocols weren't around.
Oh, yeah.
These quarterbacks were getting targeted and kicked out of them, right? And so, and then you've seen the game evolve and played over those years, and to be able to play under a coach like Belichick, who arguably is a great combo. You know, he tore his ACL in 09, didn't get to play a game, they still won 11 playoffs, which is a record, but still won 11-5 into that, and then comes back for his second half, and comes back and wins Super Bowls against Seattle, Atlanta. I know. That's fine. That's gonna go. But and I'll tell you why probably for Boston sports fans that's like the most spectacular win of the Atlanta Super Bowl. It's not 28-3. We all know the coaching malfunctions and all of those things that happened on that. You know, that was the year that Brady had gone. They were doing all this Deflategate stuff. And it was when Brady became Boston, because he got to shake Goodell's hand with that "F you look, we win the Super Bowl," and that's when Boston. That's when Brady became Boston. That's right. So I mean, no offense to the Falcons fans, and I think the Falcons are poised for some good years to come, especially with the turnover in the NFC South. It's not 28-3. It's just that Boston has this mentality. It's us against you. And we're going to win and do whatever we can do, and that's what they live for.
Right.
Yeah, that's all. And you and I have had this conversation before many times. I always thought it was more Belichick than it was more Brady, until he got to Tampa Bay and did the same thing he does. So I am humble enough to say when I am wrong. And Brent has brought me up to speed not only on Tom Brady, the quarterback, but Tom Brady, the man.
But no one ever really, when Peyton Manning was playing, no one ever thought of Brady as being that. They were always Peyton Manning.
I'm still
personally, and most people are. And I'm sitting there, I was like, nobody gave Tom Brady credit. And it's just like all of a sudden now I'm sitting, I've always seen it. Me personally, I'm not necessarily, I'm a fan, but
Well, there was a point too. After 04, you had
6, through 11, and Peyton Manning was the guy.
Yeah.
And Brady loses a couple. There's a couple Super Bowl losses right against the Giants, right? And
no way he's better than Peyton.
There's no way he's better than Peyton, and there's
Now
all these
argument's
comparisons.
real.
Yeah, and Peyton really kind of dominated the force there. And there was a period of time, I've listened to some interviews where Brady, like, I don't know whether maybe in 2011 or so, he was saying, I think I'm getting better. I feel like I'm getting better. My body's getting better. I'm seeing the game better. And he felt like he actually could play the game at a higher level, which is unthinkable. So he's a huge fan of mine. I have a lot of respect for him.
He's a fan of yours?
I know he's a fan of mine. I've never had a chance to shake his hand. I'm not interested in your autograph, Tom. I just want to shake your hand.
Hey, look,
I just want to shake Giselle's
I'm a fan of his
Yeah.
talent, but I'm glad he's gone. So let's give someone else a chance here.
Right. Okay. Tom Brady stat for you. Want a Tom Brady stat?
Let's
I
do it.
love a
Okay.
Tom Brady stat.
There's 5 teams that have never beaten Tom Brady.
Wow. Good
5
question.
teams. Which 5 teams do you think those are? And a couple of them might become obvious to you.
I'm going to say the Falcons right off the. Being a Falcons fan, I'm going to say that right off the.
You're up. You're right. Ding ding. One is the Falcons.
That's
They
an
never-
easy guess
They
for
never
me.
beat.
That's a
They never
quick
beat
one
Tom
for
Brady.
me.
Right.
That's pretty wild.
They never beat him.
And I'm talking a third of my life. This guy's been in the NFL.
He's
A
never beat him.
third of my life, and he's never beaten the Falcons.
Give you a layup one, right? Patriots have never beat Tom Brady because the Patriots beat him this year. It's the only time they played him, right?
And
So
I'm going to
that's
say Tampa Bay too.
Tampa Bay's never beat him.
There.
So you got 2 more. 2 more, and I'll give you a
More.
hint. They're NFL. They're NFC teams.
NFC team.
NFC teams.
Let me guess. The Dallas Cowboys.
America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, have never beat Tom Brady. And then the last one is the Vikings. Vikings. Yep.
Well, you know what? That's
He's 27-0 against those teams.
much
don't
more
mind
than
the Vikings.
any other stat you've given us. That blows me away.
That's crazy.
I mean, I
That's
am
crazy. I figured Falcons, but I didn't figure it out.
It's amazing. It's
That's
amazing.
an accomplishment in itself. So
It's really incredible. It's really incredible. I think I remember when I first watched him play. It was one of his first playoff games. It was right after it was 2000. It was 2001, right? So the country was reeling. We were reeling after a horrible attack on our country, and there's this team called the New England Patriots playing in the playoffs. And there was this whole thing of, it's kind of like the Bengals this year. Nobody believed in them. They came out of nowhere. But the Patriots, the New England Patriots, are in the playoffs, and they're playing in Foxborough, the old Foxborough Stadium. It's snowing, and they're playing. And you know where I'm going with this? Against the Raiders.
Oh, wow.
The evil Raiders. And so, in New England, we call it the snow game. We don't call it the tuck rule game.
Tuck rule?
Yeah, right. We call it the snow game because that's what it was. It was a snow game, and the rule was called right, Steve. And anyway, that was like one of the coolest moments, and we were just so excited as fans because little did we know we were going to see this happen for 20
Patriots
years.
really didn't do anything before that. I mean,
Yeah, we did.
They were always just kind of like the Bengals or someone that was always.
They were just there, and
behind it.
and Chuck's got his Merino
like a
shirt on.
Dolphins here,
Yeah, the Dolphins would just kick the living crap out of the Patriots every time they played. So,
I just wore this jersey to antagonize Brent. So I'm not a big Dolphins fan. I did at one point in time think that Marino was the greatest quarterback ever until Peyton came along and Elway and some others. But
I think that's what's so cool about the game is like when you're growing up or you're living and sports is important to you in life, and this is 3 guys who love sports. That's what's important to you at that time, right? And so there's probably people out there that have other heroes in their lives that that might be their goat. That's what motivates them. That's what inspires them.
That's what makes sense.
For me, it's Tom Brady, but there's going to be somebody that, like Joe Burrow had favorites when he was a kid, but at some point there's going to be a kid growing up that says Joe Burrow's my goat because he's the guy that inspired me to get into sports or inspired me to play football or inspired me to just do something. That's what the beauty of it is. And you can't control how we consume media or how we consume sports. I mean, back in 2001, we didn't consume media on Facebook or on Twitter, right? We consumed it differently, and today it's consumed differently as well. And so that's why people have different thoughts and feelings about it. And so I will defend and be the biggest Tom Brady fan on the planet, but I totally understand if there's other people that have others, and that's their opinion.
Well, I got a question for you. What do you think's next for Tom Brady? I tell you, when he played in the golf tournament, I can't even remember, it was with Phil and Bryson DeChambeau and
It wasn't Tiger, was it?
I don't think, it was, but Phil was in there for sure.
Yeah.
I think Tiger
Oh,
was
and
in
Peyton
there.
Manning.
That's right, Peyton Manning was in there. Yeah.
That was one of the most entertaining shows I've ever watched, just them. And Charles Barkley gave him so much crap. Remember, he was talking about how bad he played, and then Tom holds a shot out from like 187 yards. And he said, "Take that, Charles."
Speaking of Charles Barkley, my roommate met him last week. Didn't have a clue who he was.
Oh, come
She's
on.
like, I met some guy named. Some of y'all met her before. She's about this tall. She walked up to him and they were at some bar. She looked up. She said, "Hey, nice to meet you." No one else would talk to her. And he's like, "Some guy named Charles Barkley." I was like, "Really?" I was like, "Really?" And he wanted to buy her a drink and say, "Hey, come hang out."
That's pretty cool.
And I was like, "You don't know who you met." I mean, that's kind of a neat thing.
You met a really cool guy.
A little bit off topic there, but yeah, it was just.
Yeah, I don't know what
stuff.
Tom does. I think what's interesting. We're talking about Peyton and Eli a little bit. It's been fun to watch what they did.
Yeah.
They kind of redefined a little bit of the thing because typically your path might be to go into the booth or go into an analyst. And Peyton's the kind of guy who's like, no, like, I'll do this, but you guys can come to me. I'm going to provide this product for you, and if you want it, then you can do
I don't think
it.
that's what. I mean, he's a good-looking guy. I mean, yeah, he's probably.
And I think Brady will
be
probably
in the booth or.
I would love to see Brady. You ever watch Peyton and Eli when they're calling the Monday night game?
Yeah.
I think Tom would be great in that role.
Well,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need better Monday night anyway.
We need
No
better
offense.
football announcers. The college announcers were horrible.
Tom
Joe
will
Buck,
do what
it's
he
time for
wants.
you to retire.
Tom's going to do what he wants to do.
We
The
don't need
TB12
him.
brand is amazing, and
Does he have a clothing line on that?
yeah, oh yeah, he's got a whole energy and a fitness line, and it's a fantastic line, and he'll do whatever he wants to do, and he's going to be fantastic. at
Maybe
it.
you just disappear, but I doubt that. But.
No, I don't think he loves the limelight.
Well, he actually might eat a Subway sandwich now. You never know.
He may well. And Brent shared many a podcast with me about Brady talking, and like I said, I over the years I gained a lot of respect for him as a man, more so than a quarterback. And I'll admit he's a great quarterback. He makes some of the throws that other quarterbacks can't make. I just can't pull that goat trigger. But I will tell you this, in terms of being a man and standing up and doing the right things and giving back to his community, I can't think of a better quarterback than Tom
He did
Brady.
it right. He did it the way he was supposed to do it. So there's so many that don't do it. So
Do you know how many wins he recorded in his regular season?
No.
243.
Is that a record?
243.
Oh, it's gotta be.
Gotta be. But here's the most interesting stat. You know how many ties Brady's recorded in his career? 22 years.
I wore a tie once.
You wore a tie? Was it clip on?
Yes, clip on.
They made me wear one too. It's in the closet, laying in the corner now. So
He's played in 0 ties.
That's a
A lot of overtime games,
Yeah.
but won a lot of them. Never finished in a tie.
wow.
Yeah. All right, I've heard enough about this loser. Hey, listen, we're going to get into a segment here in a couple of minutes about the Super Bowl. So once again, 470-7-SPORTS, 470-777-6787. We want you to text in and let us know who you think is going to win the Super Bowl and why. But right now, we're going to give Brent a minute to talk about High Caliber Realty, his employer.
Oh, thanks very much. I appreciate that, Chuck. High Caliber Realty, we're here locally here in the Metro Atlanta area, but we also have offices in Florida and in Anchorage, Alaska too. We do a lot of work up there as well. High Caliber Realty has been it's a family-owned type of business. They treat their clients in that family-owned business. That's why its roots have been around since 1939. And we're just here to help you make wise decisions in real estate that produce favorable results. So whether you're looking for keys or cash at the closing table, we're here to negotiate for you in your back pocket. We don't spend we're not the big companies on the billboards and everything like that. We're just here to help you sell real estate and help you in that regard.
And give them your tagline. I love it.
My purpose?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually working on a keynote speech for purpose-driven leadership, but my purpose is to help you and your friends make wise decisions in real estate that produce favorable results.
Thank you, Brent. Appreciate you being the sponsor today. We're going to get into the Super Bowl a little bit here again. Send in your predictions, 470-777-SPORTS. I think that Money McPherson is going to kick a field goal, and
the Bengals are going to win 34-31 come the end of the show, come to the end of the Super Bowl. So that's my prediction. But let's talk a little bit about the Super Bowl in general. What is this, number 57? Is that right?
Yeah, 50 something.
50 something. Well, I know
56,
until
that's the
last
first
year,
person there.
a home team had never participated in the stadium
That's right.
until Tampa Bay won it in their own stadium last year. And now here we go again. The Rams are playing in SoFi Stadium for the Super Bowl.
Not only they play not only they play for the Super Bowl, but they also played a home game in the championship game,
And the national championship.
which
and the
never
NFC
happened. So they've actually broke the record that had never been broken last year.
And there are 4 teams, and maybe 5, that's up for debate. There are 4 teams that have never even played in the Super Bowl. And again, we get back to Mr. Brady, he's won 7, played in 10.
That's right.
There are 4 teams that have never even played in the Super Bowl. Can you name them out there, 3 guys who love sports? That would be the Houston Texans, the Jacksonville Jaguars, obviously because they're fairly new to the shebang and they're getting there. And the one that blew me away the most is the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns paid for the championship, but before the NFL existed, when it was just like American, what is it, American Football Association or whatever it was. And there's one other I'm forgetting. Texans, the Jaguars, the Browns,
Detroit.
and the Detroit Lions. Who could not forget the Detroit Lions? They're one of the easiest teams to forget in the world. But the Detroit Lions have never even been to the Super Bowl. They've probably been as far away from sniffing the Super Bowl as anybody else, any franchise that has ever been. So who do you think is going to be the next person to win the Super Bowl? The next one of those 4 teams to make the Super Bowl. Who do you think it's going to be? Brent, what do you think?
You know, all of those teams. You know, Jacksonville. They got a long way. They got a long way to go. I mean, Trevor's going to find his way.
If he stays.
Hopefully,
He's a smart kid,
that ownership's a mess down there.
they're kind of falling apart right now.
Yeah, I have a hard time with it.
They got a little ways to go.
The Texans, I like that kid Davis Mills down there. He's a smart quarterback. He's smart, yeah.
They're still fairly new franchise. They're not one of these ones that have been around.
And I think
for
they're
years
gonna,
and years,
and I think
you know.
that they're gonna figure that out, but they're a ways off. Obviously, you know, the Browns fans, you know, they want to see that, but I honestly think the Lions are going to be the team that gets there the quickest.
Oh, really?
I do.
Really?
I think that team, you know, that city is such a powerful city. The fans are they're knowledgeable, they're so passionate. The coaches kind of brought a breath of life to that franchise in that city, and they're in so many games that they probably could have won.
Almost there.
Yeah.
Gee, where did that coach come from, Brent?
I wonder where could have that coach come from?
I think he came from the New England Patriots. Didn't he?
Well, maybe that's what they needed. So he's trying to do something to turn that around. So
What do you think?
So what do you think?
who, me? I'm going with the Bengals. I'm Cincinnati, man.
I'm talking about one of the 4 teams.
Oh, one of
that
the
make
four?
the Super Bowl.
Oh, we're
Yeah.
too early on that one. Let's see, one of the 4. I don't know. I don't think it's Detroit. I think the Texans. Texans have always been a solid team. They're not there yet. I think Jacksonville's got a long way to go. They're kind of falling apart. I mean, I like Trevor Lawrence. I think he's an athlete. He's just really young, but yeah, I'm gonna go with the Texans.
Yeah, we talked about Trevor Lawrence has
been.
been like headline news here down in the South for it seems like 5 years before he even played an NFL game. And it's kind of like it's almost kind of we feel like he's been in the league for so long with all the hype. I hope that team didn't screw him over and that he loses momentum. Because that first year is so critical in developing a rookie. You know,
I mean, do you think he should have went? I think maybe. I mean, you think it's good to go behind somebody and play with them a couple of years, but I mean, I guess
Yeah, whether you're thrown into the fire or not,
Thrown in
it's
the
the
fire,
right
Justin
situation.
Fields out there, too.
I don't think they had a choice.
They didn't have a
Jacksonville. Yeah. I don't know. Of course, the Urban Meyer experiment was a disaster down there.
right.
Maybe they can get him some running back help. Maybe they can get another team. I mean, he was the first overall pick, right?
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence.
Which is usually doesn't. It takes a while.
Well, that's
usually
a
doesn't
tough position
pan
to
out
be
for a
in.
while.
Right.
Probably in history, if you look at it. But
I'd like to see Jacksonville go.
I would too.
I really like Trevor Lawrence. He's not as cute as Giselle, but his hair is about as long.
hey, I gotta say that.
But I like I like Jacksonville. I don't know enough about the ownership down there, and again, we don't know nothing here. We're just talking sports. It's three guys. I don't know about Detroit. I don't think Goff is the answer up there, Jared Goff.
Not long term, no.
Yeah, I don't think he's the answer anywhere. And the Texans, and who's the other one? Detroit, Texans, Jaguars,
Cleveland.
oh, and the Browns.
Cleveland. Well,
Baker
Cleveland.
Mayfield. Is Baker the guy in Cleveland?
They're going to have a hard time figuring out what to do with his contract because he's going to want that big money that the Bills paid Josh Allen, and Josh Allen has gotten them deep into the playoffs here a couple of years.
Right.
And now here's Baker Mayfield wanting all this money.
They
They don't even make it to the playoffs. So the Browns are in a real tough place as to what they're going to do.
Yeah. Well, we put out a poll on Monday on Three Guys Who Love Sports, and it's about 60 to 40% in favor of the Rams now to win the game. I gave you my picks, Jason.
I started
What do you
to,
think?
I think the Rams are. I think the Rams are the better team on paper. I think that's the obvious pick. I think Bengals are a little Spitfire. Some of you Braves fans out there, that it's the same thing with the World Series. They weren't predicted to win that, but they had that drive and they had that go. And you can just see that. You can see that with Cincinnati. I just have a feeling it may be a close game. It may be, like you said, it may be a field goal. I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a great game. I think Cincinnati's going to really give them, whether they win or lose, but either way. So.
I think it's got to be a great game based on the first 6 playoffs games. In the end, don't forget to text in to 470-7 Sports, just the word Bengals or just the word Rams, and let us know who you think is going to win the Super Bowl. And right now, like I said, it's 60% fan vote is for the Rams. Brent, what do you think?
Cincinnati by a field goal, though.
I think definitely it's going to be a close game. But you look at the rosters. There's 10 players on the Rams that have Super Bowl experience. There's 10 players, okay? That does a lot when it comes to preparing for game day, preparing for how you're going to be on the field, because the pregame's longer, your halftime show is longer. So how do you handle yourself during press week?
You got all that stuff through the week.
That's right. So and you got to remember the Rams, they're not that far removed, right? Because they were in Atlanta not that long ago, right? There's one player with Super Bowl experience on the Bengals. One.
That's wild.
And that could come down to a factor, but I ultimately think that it's going to come down to coaching. I think McVay is going to take care of business in that late fourth quarter. We've seen what Stafford and Cup can do if they're challenged. Unless Cincinnati gets out to a crazy lead, I think the Rams figure that out and they're going to win. They're going to win by 4.
I just can't tell you how nauseated I would be if the Georgia Bulldogs won the national championship and Matthew Stafford won the Super Bowl. I would be sick for a week. I was already nauseated about the Bulldogs, but I can't pull for Stafford. Again, I've gained a great amount of respect. I know the deal he's been with his wife, she's sick and all that stuff, and they seem like a fabulous couple. But I can't pull for Stafford. I'm sorry.
It's going to be a great game, and we can't wait. I can't wait for it. Obviously, it's we had all these extra games this year that it felt. I don't know about you, but it felt like that first weekend of January. I'm like, we should be watching playoff games, not the last game of the season.
Yeah.
So I'm ready for it. Totally ready for it.
Oh, I am too, man. And we still have,
It's different.
11 days, 12 days, 11 days till the game. So we'll probably be talking about this for the next 11 days, and people's opinions will change.
I wonder what Steve's opinion is going to be on it.
No
Steve
more
will be
Tom
calling in a
Brady,
few
but we're
minutes.
going to say. We don't have, everybody has a fair shot now.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No
So,
more Tom.
yeah, no more Tom. And it's going to be a weird football season without Tom, to me. Just because, like I said, he's been a quarterback a third of my life in the
He's who
NFL.
everybody loves to hate. So, I mean,
Well, he left it. The league is going to have a fun year next year. I mean, the AFC is loaded, with Burrow and Mahomes and Allen. I mean, those guys are just
Right.
crazy good. I mean, whoever comes to Pittsburgh, they're going to load up that division as well.
they don't play there. So.
It's going to be.
So who's your favorite quarterback now in the NFL?
My favorite quarterback in the NFL.
There can't be anybody in the AFC East, right?
Can't be anybody in the AFC East. Now, I mean, Burrow's been a lot of fun to watch. I won't lie. He's been a ton
I
of fun.
think you look a little bit like Joe Burrow without your glasses on.
I don't put the Burr into Burrow, but I do have a BR in my name. So
Yeah, it's close. Well, I have a CB, so that's why I'm pulling for the Cincinnati Bengals. CB Chuck Burridge. That's why. That's my whole rationale.
That's one way to look at it.
Burrow's going to be a lot of fun to watch, and we'll see what he can do. And the fact that he came off of a really, really devastating injury last year shows his grit and his dedication to rehab and come back and play the game.
He's young. He's got a lot left. So
I'm a big Josh Allen fan. I really like him. I think he does a good job in Buffalo.
Yeah, he plays in the wrong division for me. So
Yeah, I know that. That's why I said
I think
knew
he
you
said
would
that
too.
on purpose.
But I mean, who are the next great quarterbacks going to be? I mean,
That's the question.
you know,
That's what's fun to see.
Not Mahomes anymore. I mean, he's still a good
Well,
quarterback.
let's bring this back home real quick, and I know we got a couple seconds left before Steve comes on, but I mean, hey, our veteran Matt Ryan, he's one of the big last veterans in the NFL, oldest, and
Aaron Rodgers.
looking forward to watching him play next year. And if we can get some defense and get him protected a little bit,
Hey, we got to do something. I
Yeah.
mean, there's not much in there division-wise.
That's right.
Quarterback-wise. So
You know,
hopefully that'll.
and
We're hoping it's.
I love it, you know, I didn't mention this first the show, but we don't talk politics on here. We don't talk COVID. But my man Matt Ryan gets a bad rap on all the local radio shows. And I just don't think he deserves it. He's been through so many offensive coordinators.
He's
He's
a
like
tough
every
guy.
2 years, you got to change offensive coordinators and change everything.
Yeah.
And
He's tough.
I think he's
gets the
Hall of
healthy
Fame
out
worthy.
all the time, so.
I don't know. I'd love to see him get to another Super Bowl. I don't know. When's the last time we had a good running back? When's the last time the Falcons had a good running back?
Well, I mean, they start off probably Jamal Anderson, but he didn't last long. I mean, that's the only one.
Gurley didn't last?
No, nobody. No, they start off that way, and then it seems like they get a paycheck, and that's like
Devontae Freeman.
Devontae Freeman.
As soon as they paid him his check, he
Yep.
stunk again.
Yep.
And that's,
He didn't do anything. It was just he was outstanding. It's like, oh, maybe we have somebody here. I mean, they've all kind of been that way. So
Chuck, you know you're as much on the Falcons as anybody. Who's their first round pick with the 8th pick this year? They go defense, they go offense. What do you think?
boy, the kid from Michigan,
Yeah.
I don't think he'll still be around the
He won't.
defensive end.
No, he won't be around.
If Will Anderson's around from Bama, I'd love to see him take Will Anderson. It seems like every year they need defensive help. They need line help. They need defensive help.
they're so young now too. It's hard to their defense, Falcons defense. They're so young and it's so
Were you happy overall with their pick last year with Kyle Pitts, knowing that Mac Jones was available?
Yeah, I think the Falcons would have been a better team with Calvin Ridley healthy and
too.
playing.
Yeah,
I think they would have been a lot better off.
Great.
I love Kyle Pitts. I was really happy with him.
I was
Right here.
pleased with that as well. But
Yeah.
I don't know. That's Falcons are always a tough one to talk about because you say one thing and it just goes completely the opposite. So I mean, but yeah, Matt Ryan, he's a great quarterback. Look on paper, he's got great numbers. I think one day he might be a Hall of Famer. I mean,
I don't think he'll play as long as Brady did. Although he said something in a recent interview that he's not ready to quit.
He's got a lot to prove, and if he can get himself a right team behind him,
well, and that's
and
the
everything
whole
this
thing.
year that's set up in that NFC South division, the Falcons went through that tear down rebuilding year this year. And you're right. Who knows what happens with Calvin Ridley? Is he going to be around or not? All of that's going to, we've got one more year with that salary cap implication there, and they've got good structure. And and how many teams going into 2022 don't have an answer at quarterback or don't have an answer at head coach? I mean, it's crazy. So when you look at the Falcons, they've got
A lot
it
of
figured out.
turnover in the coach
They've
position.
got it all figured out. So
So, do you think Ryan will be a Falcon?
next year?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think he'll probably stay there, but.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I don't see anybody.
But it's always that question: how great would he have been if he was somewhere else? If he would have been in New England, or
I didn't want to get back
the
into
question.
that.
Well, no, but
Well, I mean, it's like what are
But
the
you know what I'm
what are the
saying.
Falcons,
yeah.
what are the
You had
Falcons
some
going to
nice
do?
offensive,
They're gonna
defensive linemen. I mean,
they're going to go into a hole deeper in their salary cap and go and get a Rodgers for 1 or 2 years. I don't see that happening.
Oh, I don't see Aaron Rodgers coming
I
here.
don't see that happening.
no.
I see Pittsburgh or How about Garoppolo?
Well, Pittsburgh, I
We
mean,
talked a little bit about
that's-
Garoppolo.
I think Garoppolo maybe is a good choice.
But Ben's gone.
Ben's gone.
We didn't even talk about Ben Roethlisberger. He's gone. He's been around 17 years.
Yeah,
right?
all the old veterans. That's why it's interesting now. Who's going to be the one to step up? I mean, Matt Ryan and Aaron Rodgers, they're about the only veterans left. You know,
Wow,
there's
who
not
are the
many
other
left.
veteran quarterbacks?
That's it.
Well, in the
Ben's
game,
gone.
in the game, when you look at
Brady's
it,
gone.
when you look at the game, how it's evolved, you look at a guy like a Brady who, you know, and even a Ryan, right? You know, they love that pocket. The pocket's their best friend. And then you look at a guy like a Josh Allen, where it's like, how do you stop this guy?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So you're going to see the game evolve. You're going to
We're in a new
you're gonna
era.
see some of these records fall now. There's 17 games, and it's just again, there's going to be another generation of people and kids growing up that are going to have
Yeah.
their own
It's a new
their
era
own
of
heroes.
quarterbacks.
Yeah, to redefine the game.
You know, Stafford's going to be the old one here.
Well, you know, he's probably the senior quarterback now. Isn't
Well, besides Matt Ryan
Yeah.
he? Yeah.
and Aaron Rodgers, as soon as
Yeah.
that would be the next.
And you know,
one, I
one
would
quarterback
think.
we haven't mentioned at all is Dak Prescott.
Prescott's been around for.
I'm not a fan.
No, why not?
I don't know if it's just my disdain for the Cowboys.
You either love or hate him.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you this: back when Tom Landry was your coach,
Yeah.
there was not a bigger Dallas Cowboys fan than me.
Okay.
But when they let go of Tom Landry, I was done. They became my Georgia Bulldogs of the NFL. I will never pull for the Dallas Cowboys again. I do not like the Cowboys at all.
Oh, I'd have done okay if they would got there. I'd have been like, go Cowboys. But
Would you?
yeah, I'm not necessarily a fan though. I mean,
Their team was fun. Their team was fun to
fun
watch.
to watch. They're
Yeah.
fun.
Their team was
They got a good.
fun to
They
watch.
got a good, following. And
But you know, every year they talk about this is the Cowboys year, and Michael Irvin and all those guys that get out and say, "Oh, the Cowboys this year," and every year it's the same thing. I don't know if it's a Jerry Jones curse or whatever. I just don't see the Cowboys going anywhere.
you got all these guys. They're not evolving with their teams. I don't think either. Is picking the right plays and stuff.
Yeah.
It's these new guys coming in and managing these teams.
Well, the NFC East, it's a tough division, and they better be. The NFC is put on alert because as of today, there's a new sheriff in town, and that's the Washington Commanders.
Oh yeah.
So watch out,
So is that
NFC.
I didn't even know. Is that the?
Yep,
that's
they're
the new
calling
name
them
today,
now,
yeah.
Washington Commanders.
Yeah, watch out, they've been put on alert. So they're here.
Washington Commanders.
They're here.
Wow.
They're here to start taking names.
Yeah. And I wonder if they should be counted as the fifth team now that have never been to the Super Bowl.
I mean, technically, how would you? Texans were technically, weren't they? No, that was
No.
Houston. No, they're actually.
Houston Oilers weren't they the Tennessee Oilers when they first got there?
Yeah.
And then they changed to the Texas Titans.
So I'm getting them confused. So I think, Texans are actually they came on Carolina. But could be wrong.
Yeah, there's a great video, and I don't know if anybody's ever seen it. I found it on YouTube about how every team came into the league and the history of the NFL and what
I'd
years
like to
people
see
came in.
that.
It's about a 27-minute thing, but it's worth watching. To me, I learned a lot about the history of the NFL. And there used to be so many teams. There used to be like 30 teams that were all up in the Ohio, New York, Chicago area.
Speaking of those teams up north, what's the best team you've ever seen play up north? What's the best stadium you've ever been?
Lambeau Field.
Lambeau?
Yeah,
Yeah.
by far.
I've been up to one.
I was a
But
Packers fan before the Falcons existed, and when their schedule came out in 2019 or 18, I guess, and Angie Blank, good friend of mine, was married to Arthur at the time, and I always wanted to go to Lambeau Field. I always wanted to experience the Ice Bowl, as it were. So I called Angie. I said, Angie, I'm not looking for free tickets, but God, I've always wanted to go to a game at Lambeau Field.
yeah.
And she wrote me back on Facebook and said, hey, Chuck, nobody's ever asked me for away game tickets before. I'm not sure how it works. But let me see what I can find out. I said, yeah, it's cool. You can.
Yeah.
If you can't, you can't.
Right.
So 3 weeks later, I hadn't heard anything from Angie, and I saw her on Facebook one night and wrote, hey, Angie, have you heard anything? She said, no. But I did send an email. Let me make a phone call in the morning. So the next morning, my phone rings at 8:05, and it's the chief of staff from the Arthur Blank Foundation saying, Mr. Burge, how many tickets do you need? I said, well, I need 3, but I'd love to have 6. So they said, well, you want 6 right behind the Falcons bench, or you want them in the end zone? So we went up and we had 3 rows. Our first row right behind the Falcons bench.
Oh, wow.
And,
Nice.
So two of
That's a
my
world-class experience.
Did you get to 6?
Huh?
Did you get to 6 tickets?
Oh yeah. So I took both my sons and then 3 of my poker buddies with me.
Very nice.
Steve and
Okay.
Michael and.
So I thought for a second you were going to say I took 4 and sold the other 2.
Yeah.
Oh no. Well, I'll tell you that you could, but it was funny that week because I'd always heard that you can never get tickets to Lambeau Field.
Yeah.
But we got up there, and it could be because them and the Falcons were both out of the playoffs by then.
So they were available.
So, yeah, they're pretty easy to get if you're up there. We went, the bed and breakfast we stayed at, the girl actually had a party at the house next door, and we went over there to the party, and we had 3 or 4 people offer us more tickets.
I'd love to do that. I would do something.
Listen, I would
If that was
walk.
offered, I would go.
I would go next year, but I want the full experience. I don't want to go when it's 75, 80 degrees.
No.
I want to go
No,
when
you
it's
can't do that.
0. And I want to have a good time.
Zero.
And now the funniest thing that happened to me while we were up there, and this is a really hilarious story, is if you can't tell by my ribbing the Bulldogs, I'm a huge Georgia Tech fan. So I had on my Georgia Tech jacket, and I'm walking up the steps at halftime, and this Packer fan stands up, points at me, and says, "Nerd alert! Nerd alert!" And I said, "Yeah, but."
Right.
A nerd with a lot of money. Not me, but most Georgia Tech graduates are pretty good. So my experience at Lambeau Field was quite amazing, and I wanted to. Well, I tried to talk to the same guys to go to Rich Stadium this year when the Falcons played the Bills on January 2nd, and it snowed, and that's what I wanted at Green Bay, which I didn't
Bills
get.
fans are crazy.
Have you been to a game up there?
No, but I've been in a bar, a Buffalo bar before. And
During the game?
actually, I went to the one when they played the Falcons, and it was the most horrific thing that I've ever been. It was loud, obnoxious. Every time they got 10 in, they had a speaker about this, and I swear to God, they had a parade. They just walked every time they got 10 yards. You know, and it was, and I had a few drinks the night before, so it was a little bit on my head.
Gotcha.
So I gotta get out of here. I couldn't get a beer, couldn't sit, well, I couldn't do anything. I was like, I hold the Buffalo.
So now, have you been to games in New England?
Oh yeah, I've been to a lot of games up there, and I usually try to get up to Foxborough once a year. But one of the more memorable ones is when I was in high school. They were played in the old stadium still, so that's how old I am, right? So fortunately, I've been able to see the entire Brady career. First game I ever went to New England, though. New England they were awful. That's when they lost to Marino and company every year. Got to go. I was a sophomore in high school, lived in Maine. It's a 4.5-hour drive down to Foxborough, the old stadium. The cheerleaders had come to a local parade event in our local town, because every small town, has that annual parade. We call it the Lobster Festival. And so the cheerleaders came to town, and they gave us tickets, and we went to go see them play. And Steve Grogan was quarterback, and we lost.
Well, speaking of Steve, Mr. Pearson's calling in.
All right.
Steven, how you feeling today, buddy?
Put it on speaker.
Steve,
Hey, how are you, Chuck? I'm doing great.
glad to hear it, buddy. How was it on the golf course today?
Well, let's not talk about it. It wasn't as bad as, there were some good ones and some bad ones.
Well,
Anyway.
tell us what you've been thinking about what we've been saying.
You did a really good job. This goat stuff's hard, and it is impossible to compare eras, even if you could define an era. And you guys may or may not know this, but I'm not a great big Brady fan. But I wouldn't call myself a hater either. I know he's an easy guy to hate. And I don't want to sound petty, and quite frankly, I think his accomplishments are probably second to none in the postseason. Chuck, you said his accomplished. He's probably the most accomplished, and it's hard to disagree with that when you look at the facts. His 7 Super Bowls are more than any other NFL franchise, which is kind of crazy. So I'm not going to discount his overall record. I will say this. Deflategate hurt my respect for him. I know he's a smart guy and he gives a lot, and I think because he's so smart, he really put himself in a good position to have a good team around him. And in sports, is a component of any championship run or most championship runs. But I will say this: Brady has had more luck than any leprechaun that I've ever been around. I mean, the tuck rule should have eliminated the first appearance. I know, Brett, you said it was called right, but you know, there are a lot of people that disagree. You got Malcolm Butler's interception against Seattle and first and goal with Marshawn Lynch in the backfield. And then in 17, you know, they had the 28-3 game, but lightning struck twice for Tom Brady in terms of luck that year, because the Jacksonville Jaguars, one of your teams that never made it to the Super Bowl, they were up 20-10 in the fourth quarter. Patriots fumbled, and Jacksonville picked it up and ran it in for a touchdown, and they reviewed it, and I think they had a quick whistle on it, and they ended up giving them the fumble, but they didn't give them the touchdown, and that would have put that game away. Now, I will say this, you know, Brady has taken advantage of these breaks, and to his credit, he's taken full advantage. And I know there's some Brady lovers out there that would even say that his pass to Amendola, it was purposely thrown so a defender would knock it down and it bounce off his leg and go to Danny. But that might be stretching it a little bit. You know, but he was terrific, no doubt about it. And I don't think that, personally, I don't think 10 Super Bowl appearances will be replicated in this area of the NFL because of the parity and the salary caps, and especially when you have quarterbacks, unlike Tom Brady, that are demanding 20% of the salary cap, and then you got 80% for the rest of the 50 to 60 people on the roster. So, you know, it's tough. Now, you talked about did LA do the right thing, and did Tampa Bay do the right thing by kind of selling out and going the free agency route? You know, the Braves did the same thing, and in hindsight, of course they did the right thing. But you also have to look at LA was a 4 seed this year. Tampa Bay was a 5 seed last year, and the Braves had the worst record in the playoffs. And it worked for them. So you can't say they were wrong, because it worked. It probably won't work very often, but you know, the other part of that is the windows to championships, they close pretty fast. As we in Atlanta know, we thought that we had a team that would make a run several years, and they made a run 1 year. And so, you know, who's to say, when you got a chip in a chair, you got a chance. You got a chip in a chair and you get hot, you got a really good chance. And unlike how it's supposed to be, best teams usually don't win. You got 14 teams in the NFL this year, all that had a chance, and all of them are pretty good. And it's tough to win 3 or 4, even if you're the best team. So I think you got to take a chance while you have it. You know, the Super Bowl, as far as the Super Bowl, you know, it seems like if we expect a great game, we don't get one. If we don't expect a great game, we sometimes get one. You know, Chuck, you said the playoff games were terrific. The first round games were horrible. I think only 1 or 2 of the games was even close. But the Bills-Chiefs game was incredibly entertaining. And the rest of the games, and well played. I thought the rest of the games were close games, but I wouldn't define them I thought they were more defined by mistakes rather than being great games. A couple of other things that you guys talked about. You talked about Mahomes, and you said, is he having fun? And I don't know if he was having fun or not, but I will say this. In the game against the Bengals, it looked like to me that Mahomes was trying to make too many SportsCenter top 10 plays and highlights by spinning out and doing what Mahomes does best and making tough throws. And, you know, they were up so big. I really think he should have gone to his check down receivers, let them make a play, and not really try to force things in because they had the lead. I don't know if you know this, but his quarterback rating for the second half of the Bengals game was a 1, which I don't know. That's probably a record ever since the guy from Denver, the wide receiver, had to play quarterback. Brett, I you about the teams that hadn't beaten. That was quite entertaining. And of the 5 teams, I don't have an opinion. I think Jacksonville at least has some good picks, as bad as they've been for as long as they've been. I think the Browns are the closest team to making the playoffs, but quite frankly, making the Super Bowl in the AFC is tough sledding right now. And I think Brent, you also said people love these Rams. I grew up about 100 miles from St. Louis, and I can tell you there are a lot of people that I went to school with in my hometown that don't love the Rams. And some of them are former Rams season ticket holders, and I think they hate the Rams more than Chuck hates the Georgia Bulldogs.
That's pretty strong.
Yeah, well, I've got some friends that said they would never root for the Rams for the rest of their life. I also agree that, in terms of is this a one and done for the Rams, and did they leverage everything for one Super Bowl? I mean, like I said, they were a 4 seed, but next year, I think the NFC is wide open. It depends on where Aaron Rodgers goes. But let's say he doesn't go to Tampa. Let's say he ends up with, a team in the AFC. I don't know who the favorite would be in the NFC. It has to be either the Rams or the Cowboys. And I'm not really convinced that either one of them are good enough to be a favorite, but somebody has to be. You look at it, and Chuck, I agree with so many of your comments that you made about Matt Ryan and the Falcons, and he frustrates me to no end because of his lack of mobility. And I think this year he got happy feet, and that's really a bad thing for a quarterback. But with Tom Brady retiring, he might be the best quarterback in the NFC South next year. In fact, there aren't many NFC quarterbacks in the NFC. Probably Dak Prescott, but there aren't many that are better than him. And I'm like you, Chuck. I'm not sold on Dak because he hasn't proved to me that he can win big games. I think the biggest mistake that the Falcons made, and I will blame a little bit of this on Ryan, is when he got the big payday, he and Julio got the big payday, there wasn't anything left over in the cupboard for quality linemen.
Yeah.
And you just can't have one player making 20 to 25% of your payroll, of your salary cap in the NFL.
Yeah.
If you do, your window closes really quickly because you got to get a lot of talent from the draft.
Well, Steve, I got to say this. I'm just amazed that me and you agree on anything. So that blows me away.
Chuck, I'm just getting old, and just a lot easier, I guess. I was going to ask you when we were talking about the GOATs. I was going to ask you, how it was when you watched Babe Ruth play, because I'm way too young for watching Babe Ruth, but I'm sure you saw him as a kid. So
Yeah, I did. Well, Steve, give us your prediction for the Super Bowl, and we'll let you get out of here.
Yeah, I hate to say this, and maybe it's because my friends are Ram haters. I'm not convinced of the Rams this year, and I kind of like the Bungles. Joe Burrow he's a baller, and he's a winner, and but I'm usually wrong more than I'm right. So, if you're betting, don't take the Bengals, because my prognostications about who's going to win, they're probably 30% at best. But I kind of like the Bengals. I think they've lived they've won the games. When Burrow had 9 or 10 sacks against and still won the game, that tells me that a guy is a winner.
Well, so we've got 3 for the Bengals and 1 for the Rams. You're on the Rams?
I got the Rams.
Well, Steve,
And one other thing I wanted to just point out you know, with the Washington being the Commanders, are we going to be calling them the Washington Commies now?
That's a point for next
A
week.
couple things. The Houston Oilers became the Titans.
Yeah.
Just to clean that up. And Dallas used to be the Texans before they became the
Yeah, well, they're Dallas Texans. Yeah.
the Cowboys. And the Houston Texans are a new franchise. So, but it's the Oilers that went to become Tennessee and then become the Titans.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, buddy. Well, we appreciate you calling in. You have a great evening.
Thanks.
Yeah, bye. So, any feedback on Steve?
Yeah, I just appreciate his insight. He's obviously very knowledgeable, and we appreciate everything. And, you know, it's great to be able to listen to us talk and then put those things out there.
It is.
I'll go with 2 points to wrap it up. For me is, hey, why not? Why not the Falcons next year? You get a wide open NFC. You're gonna have you never know what free agency is going to bring. You never know what the offseason is going to bring. Let's just watch the NFC be sneaky with the Falcons next year. And then I'll end my comments with one last thing, with a Brady quote. It's something that inspires me every day. It's something he said a couple years ago on his Tom versus Time, and basically he just said this: if you're going to beat me on the field, you better be prepared to give your life, because I have.
That's awesome.
That's a great.
Jason, what you got to say?
No, go Cincinnati, man. Let's see what's going to happen. And, you know, next year, I'm with you, Brent. Who knows? It's like we talked about earlier, it's a whole new era. It's exciting, you know. We don't. I don't know if anybody can predict what's going to happen next year. So I don't know if anybody predicted this Super Bowl. Really, I mean, you know,
Vegas is going to put their opening lines for Super Bowl out. Put $100 on the Falcons.
I'm down with that. I love the Falcons. At least do something. At least have a winning season.
That's it.
Let's start there.
Well, I love Steve's comments. The one thing I'll disagree with, nobody ever will hate another team as much as I hate the Georgia Bulldogs. Steve, thank you for your comments. Guys, we're going to wrap up today's show. The most important thing to remember is, guys, know your numbers, cover your ass, get your prostate checked. We'll see you next week.
That was